Hey everybody, so if you're watching this in the fall of 2020, I'm down in my basement instead of in front of my main desktop computer where I normally record these videos for you. If you're not in my class in fall 2020, you probably saw this in class, but maybe you were absent and you're looking at it because you missed that particular class, or maybe you just stumbled upon this video looking for information about stressors. But if you're watching this in fall 2020, it's part of your asynchronous work for the first day that we talk about stress for that topic for that week or this week. And we talked about the definition of stress being the body or mind's reaction to change it did not expect, change it did not want, things it did not understand, or that which it feels threatened by. And I told you that that was, in a previous video and in class, I told you that that was a combination of a variety of different definitions. It started in a Glencoe teen health textbook way back in September of 1997 when I first saw the definition, and I've evolved it since then by looking at a variety of different sources. So in any case, this is the supplemental video having to do with stressors. And remember, the definition of stressor is anything that causes you stress. And on class 1, I probably touched upon real fast that stress can be positive or it can be negative. And I probably said that we would talk more about it tomorrow. So if you're watching this video in order, you haven't learned, or in some cases, since I teach the 11th graders, you've learned this in biology in 9th grade, but you haven't relearned what the fight or flight response is, and you haven't really focused on eustress, sometimes called all stress, or distress, which is the real names for positive stress and negative stress. But stressors. So stressors are things that cause you stress, and they can basically be good or be bad. And in order to show you what they are, I have a symbolic representation. This is going to be difficult to follow unless you can think in the abstract. Think abstractly about what I'm showing you, because I'm going to show you things that are representative of stressors, but they're not really stressors. They're just objects that I'm carrying in this backpack. And why am I carrying that backpack? Because all of us have stuff. We all have stuff in our life, and some people have a lot of stuff, and some people have only a little bit of stuff. But with the stuff that we have going on in our life, we go and we have a place for it to be. So if you're lucky enough, hopefully you're thankful for this, if you have a place to call home, then you may have a lot of stuff in your house, but you need to take some stuff with you. So on a typical year, when we're not in the middle of COVID restrictions, you would grab some of your stuff and you'd put it in a backpack and you would take it to school with you. And then you'd have more stuff in your locker. And then you'd have more stuff that you would take to each individual class. So symbolically thinking, we all have stuff that we go through, and we tend to carry it with us, whether we want to or not. We carry it on our shoulders, we carry it on our back. And sometimes we gotta let it off of our back and see what happens. So right now, let's see about the stuff that I'm carrying around with me right now. I thought I cracked it. So we have this backpack and we have stuff. So let's open up the outside package first. And one thing about stressors is we said that they can be internal or external. They can be big or small. They come in all different shapes and sizes. So for this one, this is a problem that needs to be solved. So some of you might have played this game. There's a pyramid game, and it comes with pieces, and you can't play the game unless you have all of the pieces. So here's these pegs that go into these holes, and if this is taking too long, feel free to just fast forward, but I'm doing this on purpose. And we're looking for all of the different pieces, and sometimes it takes a while to find them. And when it's all said and done, you might not have all the pieces. So hopefully you can see that there's holes in there, and you might not have all of the pieces. And if you don't have all the pieces to the problem, you might not be able to solve the problem, so that remains a problem. Other times you have problems that are impossible to solve. Now this is not impossible for most people. It's fairly easy to solve if you know the algorithm. My son can solve it most of the time. My one cousin can solve it all of the time. I have never been able to solve it without cheating. So sometimes I work around, I take the stickers off, or I take the whole thing apart, and then I put it back together, and then I'm like, yeah, I solved it. No, you didn't really solve it. You totally cheated. But sometimes the problem is just so impossible to solve, you need to get somebody else to help you with it. And it has not all these moving parts in it. that go all different directions. They're symbolically, you have a problem that are all these moving parts. Sometimes the problem is something you carry around like this and it's useless now. Like this is a half of a jewel case for a CD. What am I going to do with this? But I'm still carrying around with it, so that's not useful. Sometimes we have stressors that seem like they're good, but we don't know why we're carrying them. Like this is a picture frame that my son made me. He made it for me when he was like 2 or 3 years old. I can't remember what it was. Actually, he's probably older than that. World's best dad. He gave it to me without a picture. And there's no way for it to stand up. So I don't know. Why am I holding on to this? Sometimes problems come because of a relationship. This is a Mickey Mouse, but I have a picture of my lovely wife in the face of Mickey Mouse. You probably can't see her. So it's a cute little thing to sit on your desk. Wonderful. But, you know, sometimes even though it looks cute and it's wonderful and everything's great and I love the relationship, sometimes relationships are stressors. So that's there. Now, oh, look, sometimes we need tools to be able to help us with our stress, but we got to be able to know how to use the tools, aka stress management techniques. Here's an unsharpened pencil. Not really doing much for me unless I want to erase something. Then it's really helpful. But otherwise, if I want to write a new thing for me, if I want to make a new start, can't write on it. So I need to sharpen this first, and then I can rewrite it too. That was very symbolic. Somebody should write that down. Sometimes I have the answers. Maybe the stressor is coming from too much to do. So why don't I use a daily planner? Fantastic. Here's a wonderful daily planner. Here's another daily planner. Except for inside the daily planner, there's nothing written. It's blank. So the tools are only good if you plan on using them. By the way, the back of this particular daily planner says, make good choices. Wow, so and that's interesting. So they're both from Rush Arts and neither one of them has ever been used before. Who likes Silly Putty? That's fantastic. Silly Putty is really a good representative and example of a stressor because one stressor can manipulate itself into all different shapes and sizes and different little things. And if I had more time, we could probably make a bow or something like that. But right now, it's just manipulate, or it's just all squished up into this little ball. And we're gonna pack it away here in this little egg. We're gonna pack it away, and we're gonna hide it. We're gonna act like it doesn't exist, and then we're gonna put it aside. Oh look, here's more pieces to the original puzzle. So now I can put them into my puzzle piece and be able to play the game. So sometimes it takes time to pick up all the pieces. And I'm still missing one. So I guess I still can't play. But then there's some bigger stressors too. And remember, I said it before, and if I didn't say it, and I thought I did, then I'm saying it now. They come in all shapes and sizes, okay? All shapes and sizes. Like here is a bike lock. This stressor's so bad I can't even open it. Here's a stressor that looks like it's nice and cuddly and soft. This is actually a gift that my older son, Anthony, gave me. He's 30? He's 30 now. It says, a father is someone you look up to no matter how tall you get. And he's 6'1", and I'm only 5'6", so I definitely do look up towards him. But he has to look up to me because of the father. He's my stepson, actually. But the point being, he gave this to me as a gift, and I carried it around with me, and it sounds like it's really good. But sometimes in his life, he has definitely done things to cause me stress. So if this is representative of my son would be wonderful, and I love him, but he definitely causes stress sometimes. All right, so here's a dice, or a random number generator, a die, I guess. Random number generator, we can roll that, because sometimes life is just like a crapshoot. Let me just see what I roll and see what comes out, okay? And we can manipulate what comes up. We can't always tell what comes up. For those of you that are very curious right now, number 1 just came up. It was a fantastic thing. It was the Philadelphia Flyers. This is a DVD of their 40th anniversary. But the problem is I'm carrying it around with me, and it says, on the back, it says, 40 years of excitement, all of their best highlights and games. Well, it was 40th anniversary, and it was made in, I don't know, some year. Not recently, because they started in 1967. So it was made in 2007. This is kind of old for me to still be carrying around. I need an updated version. Sometimes I need more information, but I carry it with me anyway. Sometimes stress is loud. It just keeps ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, and yes, that's annoying, but it just keeps ringing and there's nothing we can do about it to make it stop. We just want it to stop already. You got to figure out how to stop it from ringing. Sometimes that's representative. Sometimes it's just weight. Like here's a 5-pound weight, because that's great. That's a great idea. Just more weight. Here's a nut, because I don't know. And then here's 2 books. Now here's something. This is called the Ballpark Book. And this was a book that used to sit on my dad's coffee table. I bought it for him for Christmas one year. And I would go over his house every once in a while, and we'd look through the book. And we would look at all these classic ballparks, ones that I wasn't old enough to ever be able to see, ones that he visited, and we would talk about the different baseball ballparks. Now, if you don't like baseball, that's not a big deal. Nobody cares. But why do I have 2 of the same exact book, except for one's paperback and one's hardback? Why am I carrying it? I'm just carrying it extra. So maybe that's representative of sometimes you have the same stressor happening in 2 different places, and it's a different shape and it's a different size, but it's still the same thing. Somebody's like, that was pretty good. Here's a fantastic thing. This is the original novel collector's edition of all 3 of the original Star Wars trilogy. Episode 4, 5, and 6. New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Love the movies, never read the book. So why do I carry it? All this is weight. It might as well be connected to the 5-pound weight. It's not 5 pounds. That's all it's doing is taking up weight in my backpack as I'm carrying around stuff. Oh, here's the bottom of the picture frame. Now, it's useful if only I had a picture to complete it. I don't know. Here's an autographed hockey puck. That's fantastic, except for I don't know who signed it. So now I have this wasted autograph. Like, hey, who signed it? I don't know. I don't know who signed the autographed hockey puck. Sometimes stressors. Now, if you're not looking, really pay attention this time. Ready? Here's a ruler. And sometimes this is stress. We have a stressor, and then we have another stressor, and then all these other stressors just start piling up and accumulating and getting bigger and longer until we feel overwhelmed and we get to the point that when we have it stretched out, we can't even make it so that we can reach to both ends. We have a problem. And this is what you need to do. You ready? You need to take one stressor at a time. One section of your life at a time. If it's all piled up, there's only so much you can do. And you might be stressed taking care of it while you're taking care of it, but eventually you can make it into a more manageable size by making it into more manageable pieces. So that's some good advice there. And last but not least, there's only one more thing in this bag, and it was all the way down at the very, very bottom, and it's a key. The key to your stress management is to find out what works for you. Sometimes all you need to do is find the key. It would be helpful if it actually worked, to tell you the truth, that unlocks the lock. And I didn't mean for that to happen, but sometimes it's going to be hard to get the key to work. Sometimes you're going to have to try more than one key. But once you find the key to your success, you can be able to unlock your stress and stressors. And you can make it so that you can manage and deal with your stress one stressor at a time. If you have any questions for me, make sure that you email me, make sure that you reach out. If you don't have any questions, fantastic. Leave a comment, make a like. I don't know, it's either that corner or that corner, one of those 2 corners. There's a link to the video about stress overview in case you didn't see it yet. The other side that I'm pointing to is the subscribe button if you wanted to subscribe. I'm not trying to make money on this, so I don't care about how many subscribers I have, but you'll get notifications once I put on a new video. And in terms of my actual students in my class, put a little comment on there and put a little like just to make sure that other schools and other teachers that borrow my stuff and use my stuff for their students, they can see that you actually look at this too. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.